being a paramedic. What scares me is Jeremy Hunt. If he manages to impose the new contracts on junior doctors, we're going to be next.
We're not in it for the money. It's the NHS. We don't get paid massive amounts, but we do get a 25% shift allowance, which makes a massive difference. I'll tell you something now, if that goes, then the most experienced paramedics won't be able to afford to stay and they'll just leave.
But the turnover of paramedics is at an all-time high as it is. That's going to make it worse. There's just no downtime, ever, at all. The jobs are relentless. There's not enough hospital beds, so we end up queuing on the corridor for 3 hours, waiting to hand over. So jobs aren't being covered, or we're stuck there.
Yeah, and then there's inadequate primary care, with people not being able to get to GP appointments, so then they phone us. A massive proportion of our work is now social work, which we're not trained for, and there's nowhere to take them apart from an already overstretched A&E, which isn't the right place for them.
People's expectations are massively out of proportion. We live in this 24-hour society where you can pretty much get what you want whenever you want, and they expect the same with the healthcare. They're not willing to wait if they've got a sore toe. They want it sorting there and then.
There's so much bad press around the NHS, but you know what? It's still bloody brilliant if you need it in an emergency.
Hey! We're aware of what you do. Each shift you work so hard. We watch you run around all day. Too many patients for too little pay. We understand why you want to leave. You've got good reason, but don't go, please. Take it over.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and can I thank the Health Secretary for the advance copy of his statement. Mr. Speaker, tomorrow's strike is one of the saddest days in the history of the NHS, and the saddest thing is that the person sat opposite me could have prevented it. Yesterday morning, he tweeted, "Labour plan is opportunism." That was a deeply disappointing and irresponsible response. Why is it that he is so determined to railroad this contract through with all the associated implications instead of road testing it and working with junior doctors and hospital bosses to bring about the changes in patient care and outcomes he wants to see? The House Secretary claims that it will take longer to eliminate the so-called weekend effect, but he has failed to produce a shred of evidence to show how changing the junior doctor contract alone will deliver that aim. He needs to know that the very person he appointed to lead his negotiations, Sir David Dalton, has said that the staff group who need to change their working pattern least to deliver the 7-day care is junior doctors, because they already work weekends, they already work nights, and they work bank holidays too. The Health Secretary wants to be remembered as the person who championed safety. Safety is not just an issue this week, but in the months and years ahead, long after the House Secretary's tenure in Richmond House is up. It will be the people who work in the NHS who will be picking up the pieces of this dispute, and they are rightly worried about the long-term safety implications of the proposed contract. How can it be safe to impose a contract that risks destroying the morale of junior doctors, when the NHS doesn't just depend on the goodwill of staff going the extra mile, but it survives on it? And this House Secretary is breaking that goodwill. If he clouds on, I will warn him now that history will not be kind to him. It will show that when faced with a compromise, the Health Secretary chose a fight. When presented with a way out, he chose to dig in. And that when asked to put patients first, this Health Secretary chose strikes. The way the government has handled this dispute is the political equivalent of pouring oil onto a blazing fire. This is a deeply, deeply sad day for the NHS, and I urge him, even at this 11th hour, to find a way out.
In the name of love, before you break my heart, stop. In the name of love, before you
still remember hearing, as I played as a child on my front step, the anguished cries that floated from a nearby neighbour's window. There were screams from a woman dying of cancer who couldn't afford morphine to ease her passage from this life. No one in our community was safe from poor health, sickness and disease. In our home, TB came from my eldest sister, Marion. Tuberculosis tortured my sister and left her an invalid that had to be restrained with ropes tied around her bed. My parents did everything in their power to keep Marion alive and comfortable, but they just didn't have the dosh to get her to the best clinics, find her the best doctors or the right medicines. Instead, she wasted away before our eyes until my mother could no longer handle her care and she was dispatched to the workhouse infirmary where she died at the age of 10, 87 years ago. Mum and Dad couldn't afford to bury their darling daughter, so like the rest of the country's indigents, she was dumped in a nameless into a pauper's pit. My family's story isn't unique. Sadly, rampant poverty and no health care were the norm for the Britain of my youth. That injustice galvanised my generation to become, after the Second World War, the tide that raised all boats. It is why, for me in 1945, after a long, hard Great Depression and savage and brutal war, at the age of 22 and still in the RAF, I voted for the first time. Election Day 1945 was one of the proudest days of my life. I felt like I was finally getting a chance to grab destiny by the shirt collar, and that is why I voted Labour and for the creation of the NHS. As I stand here today, my heart is with all those people from my generation who didn't make it past childhood, didn't get an education, grow as individuals, marry, raise a family and enjoy the fruits of retirement because they died needlessly and too early in another era of austerity. But my heart is also with the people of the present who, because of welfare cuts and austerity measures, are struggling to make ends meet and whose futures I fear for. Today we must be vigilant. We must be vocal. We must demand that the NHS will always remain an institution for the people and by the people. We must never ever let the NHS free from our grasp, because if we do, your future will be my past. I am not a politician, a member of the elite or a financial guru, but my life is your history, and we should keep it that way. So say it loud and say it clear in this hall and across this country: Mr. Cameron, keep your mitts off my NHS!
Go over.
hospital. Yeah, I've been allowed to use the phone, so I just wanted to phone you. Yeah, I've had my dinner. Mum, I've just got to be quick. Can you hear me? I've just delivered my first baby. Yeah. She had high blood pressure and the cord was round the baby's neck. Well, the first thing that I was taught was that you had to learn about the women, how they're feeling and what they're telling you. But this woman, she was telling me lies. She said she wasn't ready to push, but she was. I checked her over and she was ready to push. So I checked her and she was 10 centimetres dilated. So I said, right, no, she wanted to have an epidural. Yeah, so that she didn't feel the pain. So she told me once that she wasn't ready. So I said, all right, I'll go and check with the anaesthetist. So I went and told Barbara and the sister, and she said, well, the anaesthetist is dealing with someone who's just had an asthma attack. So you go back in there and tell her he's on his way. And then pretend to get all the stuff ready, give her some gas and air, and then take it from there. So anyway, I got out the tray, I got everything ready, and she asked me what I was doing, and I said, I'm getting ready for the anaesthetist. And she said, he's not blooming coming, is he? You can't deliver this blooming baby. You're a baby yourself. But she didn't say blooming. And I said, are you ready to push? And she said, no! And she said it like that, like she was like pushing a boulder up a hill. And then I'd spent about 20 minutes with this woman, and she was about your age, and she was swearing at me, and she was telling me that she was going to kill me. And then when I delivered the baby, she told me I was the most wonderful person in the world. She sat up now, she's having a cup of tea. It's only been half an hour. The cord was round the baby's neck and she had blood pressure and everything. She only had gas and air, and a local too, because she had a small cut. Thanks. I just wanted to phone you. And I just wanted to say thanks for having me. I know, but I'm really grateful. He's a boy. Yeah, he's gorgeous. Alex, after me. Oh, I've got to go, Mum. I'll probably be, having to do another one now. Bye.
In the name of love, before you break my heart, stop. In the name of love, before you break my heart, think
The stats are wrong, and I agree with your point. 11,000 more people do not die at a weekend. The stats cover Friday. They do not. The highest rate of deaths in a hospital is on a Wednesday. You have more doctors in on a Wednesday than you do on a Saturday or a Sunday. It is not a weekend effect. It is misrepresented by Mr. Hunt, who is misrepresenting and lying. Frankly, because when you are told something again and again and again, and it's wrong, and you continually repeat it, it becomes a lie. He is lying about what happens in hospitals. We, as doctors, I am the doctor on call for the next 2 strikes. I am the surgical registrar. I am the doctor, the junior doctor, who will be looking after each and every one of you when you come in. I will make sure you are safe. I am the man below the consultant who will operate on you if you are sick. No one will be put at risk, and I will make sure of it.
we wouldn't need to wait for operations if we deny privatization. Each time we see the ruling class together, we're so afraid we'll be losing it forever. Don't tax our A&E, it's there for you.
intensive care unit now for 18 years and I still love my job. I hate actually going to work. I miss weekends, evenings, Christmas and sleep when I'm on nights. I love that when someone is at the sickest and close to death, I have the skills and the resources given to me by this phenomenon that is the NHS. To save them, no matter who they are and how much money they have. I love the interesting people that I meet and I listen about their lives. I feel it's a privilege to be part of that very personal part of the life. It is a day at work for me, but I always remember it's a major part of the patient's life and they will remember me even if I don't remember them. I get called names and assaulted on a regular basis. Now this I don't hate if they're confused and they're sick and they're affected by, the drugs we give them. But I hate this when patients and relatives do the same and know what they're doing because they think it's okay. I love the laughs and the black sense of humour that I share with my colleagues, which would often horrify non-doctors and nurses. I love having the time to spend with one patient, making sure that I've done absolutely everything I can for that individual to make them better or improve the quality of life at that point. I hate that we are increasingly expected to cope with less staff and expected to work longer hours for no more money. They now make us work, they make us have an hour and a half in the night, so basically we're working longer hours for no more money. So we owe hours at the end of the week, so we have to work an extra shift to make up for it for nothing. But I love that I work with such wonderful, caring, dedicated professionals. I hate that they've been hemorrhaged from the NHS on a daily basis. I love that I can make a difference. But I worry about the future. I fear it's become too big to manage properly and our expectations can't be met by the funds available. I'm getting up to go to work for my 7th night in a row. I've done over 2 weeks 2 hours worth of hours in a week. I've barely seen my kids and husband all week and I've averaged 5 hours sleep a day. But I'm excited to go to work, to go to the intensive care unit, to look after 8 patients and all the families, to hopefully inspire 8 nurses to love the job that I like and I still do. To look after doctors who have difficult decisions to make and to help them make the right ones. And I look forward to finishing in the morning so I can get pissed on a Friday night.
In the name of love, before you break my heart, stop. In the name of love, before you break my heart, pick it up, oh Papa. Pick it up, oh Papa.
Now, Bevan, we had to wait a long time for it. What I had in mind when we organised the National Health Service in 1946 to 1948. And remember, when we did it, you younger ones, this is immediately after the end of the Second World War, when we were, as Sir Winston Churchill said, a bankrupt nation. But nevertheless, we did these things. And there's nowhere in any nation in the world, communist or capitalist, any health service to compare with it. Now, the National Health Service had 2 main principles underlining it. 1, that the medical arts of science and healing should be made available to people when they needed them, irrespective of whether they could afford to pay for them or not. That was the first principle. The second was that this should not be done at the expense of the poorer members of the community, but of the well-to-do. In short, I refuse to accept the insurance principle. I refuse to accept the principle that the National Health Service should be paid by contributions. I refuse to accept it. I refuse to accept it because I thought that it was nonsense. If you weren't fully paid up, you couldn't have a second class operation because your card wasn't full of stamps, could you?